The Vault, the main stand, is brought to you by Saltire Energy, who continue to lead the way in the oil industry when it comes to specialist equipment rental. By Lux Scott, a jet-class luxury vehicle company, here for all your needs if you wish to travel anywhere in style. By Fowler Mackenzie, established in 2001, an industry leader here for all your roofing and cladding needs. And by HCS, a Scottish organisation focused on delivering the best IWOCS solutions, bespoke control equipment and supporting services to the oil and gas industry. Good morning, how are you doing? Welcome to a brand new edition of The Main Stand. Sorry that I'm a couple of minutes late. We've had some technical issues this morning, which I will explain a little bit later. So, today, it's a very busy show. It's quite a long show. It's longer than normal because we've had so much to get through, so much to discuss, because obviously it's been quite a busy week at Pittodrie. So, I spoke with Richard Wilkinson a little bit earlier, and I'm going to be bringing you all the news. We discussed all the newspaper articles that happened this week, particularly about the stadium. A little bit later, going to be hearing from Ben Thornley, Eugene Daddy, and Phil Maguire on Hicham Zerouali, because last Monday was the 18th anniversary of his sad passing. So we've done a little bit on Zero, and also absolutely delighted to welcome to the main stand for the first time former Aberdeen winger Niall McGinn. Niall and I did some quick fire questions, which I hope you'll really enjoy a little bit later. But we will start with the week that was. We began the week with continued frustration surrounding the proposed new stadium. Aberdeen Council leaders stated if any project was to go ahead, the club will have to fund it themselves. On Tuesday, Aberdeen's youngsters progressed to the semi-finals of the Aberdeenshire Shield, having beaten Formartine 5-4 on penalties. And here's a ticket update for you. Aberdeen fans have snapped up 13,000 tickets for our Viaplay Scottish League Cup semi-final against Rangers at Hampden. That was the week that was. Now, off the back of that, Jim Goodwin gave an extended interview to Red TV yesterday, and I've just picked out some of the key points. So he said that bolstering the defence is the priority for the January transfer window. The football recruitment department has already targeted new recruitments. This was done well in advance. He also said Aberdeen can't rely on home form alone to take them to where they want to be. And he also suggested that Aberdeen have been too open and expansive away from home. So do you agree with Jim? What's your thoughts on that? So get in touch through the normal means on YouTube, and I will do my best to read out all your comments today. But we're going to get started with this chat is about 15 minutes long with Richard Wilkinson, who is the admin of a very popular Aberdeen fans Facebook page. And what we discussed was all the week's news. So what I'd like you to do is have a look, tell me what you think as well. And on the other side of the interview, I will read out your comments. So here's Richard Wilkinson. Hi fella, good to see you. Thank you as always for jumping on. Right, we've got lots to discuss today. And obviously the big breaking news for the football club was the stadium, and where the council have come out and basically said you have to fund it yourself. We'll come on to that, but I'm going to say this. I think it will make for a very interesting topic at the AGM on Monday night.
It sure will. I think that I don't know whether the timing of the Aberdeen City Council's announcement was pertinent to that or not, but I suspect it's going to make Monday even more interesting. I suspect that Mr. Cormack is going to have some answer to where to next, and I think this is how long have we been talking about a new stadium? Feels like
Forever.
about 15, 20 years
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Um, Anybody who's been to Pittodrie lately, will be most people who are watching this, knows that it's getting very close to not fit for purpose. And as much as I love the place, as much as there's so much history in the place, it's a bit of an embarrassment. It's not, but these problems aren't solved with, the sale of a player these days. The sort of money talked about 50 million, 80 million pounds. That's a massive, manacle around, the club's, ankle. And the do we go back to the earlier plan, which about 6, 7, 8 miles outside the city? Do we carry on if we get given the land? We can't repurpose Pittodrie. That's just not an option. So we're back to square one in terms of what happens next, but we're getting very close to the point where it's costing way too much to just keep, Pittodrie not so much afloat, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know what the answer is, but as you say, it's going to make an interesting conversation for Monday's AGM when we go, okay, what's plan B? Is there a plan B?
You see, I must admit, I think the narrative coming out of the football club at the moment in response to the news from the council is the right one. Dave Cormack has come out and said, let's not be premature here. I think we are being premature. And I think he's right where the two parties have to sit down together. They have to discuss everything. All the information that has been requested from the council apparently is already there. There's another meeting on December the 14th, so it'll be interesting to see where it goes after that. But I can't help but think that with the state of Union Street, with the continued delays with Union Terrace Gardens, now with the new stadium, that the council need to just take a step back here, think longer and harder about what's going on, and not come out and make statements like this before everything is exhausted. That's what I think. Wait until the whole issue is exhausted, then make your decision.
I mean, listen, I don't live in Aberdeen, neither do you. And I think that, every time I go back to the city, it just looks a whole lot sadder than the previous time. And, to the point where, as I said, I feel just bitterly sad that it's got to this stage. Feedback from fans that I've seen, politics at play. And I'm not. I don't have the inner workings of what's going at play. Suffice to say, there feels like there's no plan for anything. You've mentioned all these projects in terms of the city centre, in terms of what's going on, and Aberdeen as a city has the danger of being a complete ghost town.
Yeah.
If something's not done very, very quickly. And it's not like Aberdonians to kind of look towards Dundee to go, well, hang on a second. But if you've ever been to Dundee recently, you'll see the investment, you'll see the creativity, you'll see what's going on in there. And as an Aberdonian, I'm assuming not without a little bit of envy. So listen, I appreciate financially times are tough and, there's not a massive amount of money going around, but that's kind of council's jobs, that's football clubs' jobs, that's businesses' jobs to find investment and to find ways that make things work. And again, from what you've said of going, it feels like just with that statement that the conversation, well, publicly, it feels like the conversation is kind of go, okay, that's it. And it's going, no, there's still more conversations to have. There's got to be some compromise. There's got to be some way to make this happen. But, I'm not entirely convinced that from a political standpoint, the council kind of have a plan. And that's from a club's perspective, to shift it back to the football side of things. That is really, really concerning. We have aspirations. We can't do it. Well, not so much we can't do it, but it'd be much harder to do on our own, off our own backs. We want to engage the city. We want to engage the whole of Aberdeen and surrounding areas, the people and the politicians. So how do we make something happen? How do we get to a point where it feels like progress is being made rather than going back to square one? And that, if you're saying that this meeting's happening on the 14th, that's what I'd love to see, going into 2023 of going, there's a plan. It might still be 10 years away from seeing fruition, but it's going, we're on the road. It's happening. Let's all get behind it. Because at the moment, it just feels like stuck at Pittodrie again.
Yeah. All I hope is that they just keep talking and they don't leak quotes to the press. Everybody just keeps their counsel until they've reached a final decision, then make it public. Right, let's move on to transfer speculation. So we've been heavily linked this week with Tranmere Rovers right back Josh Dakers-Cogley. I hope I've pronounced it correctly. Listen, I'm all for it. I don't have an issue with it. What I would say, though, is I don't really think we should be targeting a fullback. I think we should be targeting a central midfield player, and I think we should be targeting a centre-back. Do you agree or disagree?
There's a number of different cogs in this whole conversation for me. Do we need a right back? Again,
no.
Are we planning on continuing to play three at the back? Are we planning on continuing to play Stewart, Scales, and McCrory? So I think we all know we don't have enough cover in defence. I guess that depends on whether we're playing three at the back or four at the back. The other question, I guess, is the Connor Barron question. So one assumes that if we're going to play, are we going to play one or two defensive midfielders? We have Ramadan and we have Connor Barron in there because McCrory is going to go back into defence. It is all these moving chess pieces of kind of. For me, it's about having the squad depth to be able to interchange where, we're going to need to have, I suspect, to play four at the back against Celtic and Rangers. I think against all the other teams, three at the back, two at the front, whatever you want to do, five in midfield or, wing backs, blah, 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 etc., etc. That's how I'd want to see playing. We've actually been massively fortunate in the defence that we hasn't had any injuries for the first part of this season because the depth that we do have is very, very small. My question is going, and I think like most Aberdeen fans is going, is Josh Dakers-Cogley the best that's out there? So I don't know. I kind of had a look, his stats on Transfer Market, nothing particularly exciting. He's 26 years old. If he was 21, 22 years old, I'd go, okay, there's probably room for, sort of optimism there. But at 26, he's not at exactly. I mean, he's kind of supposed to be at his peak by then, but in terms of
experienced.
Experience kind of says I don't know. I think, and I don't speak for all Dons fans here, but I'm less excited about a League One by 26-year-old right back than perhaps a 21, 22-year-old up and coming. You look at Miovski's 22, and clearly we had to pay for him. There's a resale value. We'll come on to that. I don't know at 26. If you have an amazing two seasons, you become 28, your sell-on value, I don't know. There's something about it that kind of doesn't excite me and inspire me. He may come to the club. He may absolutely wow me. And I'd be, as I say, with every signing, be more than happy to be proven wrong. But the initial signs from me kind of just go, yeah, okay, welcome to the club. Show us what you can do. With regards to your additional defensive midfielder, I think it depends. I think we have way too many attacking options. I think Jim Goodwin in his massive rebuild, and we absolutely to his commendation in terms of what he achieved during the summer, I think he probably overstacked the deck with regards to the amount of attacking players. We need two defenders. I think an extra defensive midfielder would be, I guess a third. If we could get three players in January, would be nice. Mainly because we don't know where potentially some of these players might end up going. Not necessarily in January, but I think at the end of the year. And I'm concerned with Conor Barron not signing a new contract. That very well may be a problem, not of January's making, but maybe of next summer. So with regards to Josh Dacres-Cogley, if he comes, great. If I, give Jim and the recruitment team the benefit of the doubt of going, they've presumably done the hard yards and research and what have you. Let's see if he comes. Let's see what happens. With regards to defensive midfielder, I mean, the more quality players that come into the club and come into the squad and competition for places, the better for me.
Okay. This week also saw an exclusive interview with Bojan Majowski by Filip Mishoff, who is also a reporter. And I was really intrigued by this interview. And what I love are the little quotes that Bojan has given here. I'm just going to read one to you. He said, "I'd much rather lift a trophy with Aberdeen than win the Golden Boot. Our goal is to secure a place in the European competitions for next season, be in the top three, and secure a place in the final of the League Cup." He's certainly making all the right noises.
Now, I'd just like to say I can't believe my Mr. Bojangles nickname hasn't carried by now. Mr. Bojangles, it's a horrible name. Bojan Majowski, what a player! I mean, we've been blessed with not one but two, and God knows we've waited long enough to have the depth of strikers, and we'll go on to talk a bit more about that in a second. But he says all the right things. He's said, what any Dons fan would want to hear, which is going, but why can't we have all of those? It's going, why can't we have the striker, the golden boot? Why can't we have silverware? Why can't we have, all of that? And I think that we've only seen this week in terms of, Ronaldo's petulance to kind of go, if you're the team, if you're the star player, how easy it is to be, lost in your own world. And I think it's great to hear that there's that team unity. No one player is more important than the other. When one player perhaps hasn't had a good, good run, there are other players to kind of bring it all together again. It's, the cynic would say it's good media training to say all the right things, but genuinely the interviews that I've seen and heard, Bojan, he comes across as a really nice guy. He comes across as a really smart guy. I'm not going to call him a kid. He's 23 apparently. I just hope he's here for a couple of years. I really worry. I don't think he'll be going anywhere in January, but I really worry that he'll be off next summer.
Yeah, well, he's not going anywhere in January. He's already said that he's staying no matter what.
Money talks, and if we've got to pay for a new stadium and somebody comes up with a big cash amount, then true. But I think
someone comes up with 80 million.
Well, that would be a start, wouldn't it? I mean, what do you think? I mean, I think from the perspective of, this is a class guy that we want to do everything to hold on to, and despite having a little blip, sort of in October, November, you want to keep this guy on and put him in the absolutely, make a statue of him.
See, the problem for me is it's a double-edged sword, because yes, we need to keep him. Of course, we need to keep him for the good of the team, for the success of the team going forward, for where we want to be. We need to keep players like Bojan Majowski. On the other hand, if a club was to come in the summer and offer stupid money for him, which is not beyond the realms of possibility, you look at the recent annual figures that came out of the football club, the report, we're still going through difficult financial times. There's a recession upon us now. And unfortunately, we might be in a position where we simply might have to sell to balance the books, to keep the football club on an even keel. And unfortunately, whether we like it or not, Bojan Majowski is an asset to our football club. I'm listen. At the end of the day, I'm taking the business side of it away. I'm using the fan emotional part of it. I want him to stay as long as we can, as long as he's contracted for, which is 4 years. If we can keep him that long, it would be absolutely sensational. But I just can't see it, because I do think if he continues to play the way that he's playing and score the amount of goals that he's scoring, someone is going to come in and someone will offer big money for him. And that's just the way it is. Fella, we don't have very long left. So I want to just to finish off, I think we should finish off with Alfie, young Alfie, who just continues to score goals for fun, continues to make the right impression.
So I said on the page, and many people kind of disagreed, but Ramirez is clearly on his way out, and Bavic, Alfie, on his way up. I would like to see Bavic getting probably more playing time than Ramirez for the rest of the season. I would love to see him getting some presence, some game time against Darvel in the cup, and let's see what this kid can do. I genuinely, even if it's going out somewhere for the rest of the season, if we think that makes the difference, so that he's actually getting proper play time. It didn't do McKenna any, and some of these other players, any harm. And as you say, what we were talking about earlier on, of going, these are our assets for the future in terms of, we play them, we sell them, we reinvest. It looks like the recruitment team finally are know what they're talking about, know what they're doing, and that's the way that as our club we should be absolutely heading going forward. And I really hope that, we've got Duke, we've got Bavic, we've got Majowski. I'd love to see all these players playing and scoring goals for Aberdeen. Who wouldn't?
Fantastic, my friend. Thank you so much. Lovely to see you all.
Hi, I'm Andy Dornan. You're watching Ali Beg, AB TV.
Thank you, Andy. And thank you for all your kind comments about Andy Dornan's The Vault, which is currently sitting on the channel. It's gone down rather well, as I expected it to do. Niall McGinn, quickfire questions, is coming very shortly. But first, let's get through some of your comments. Thank you for watching this morning. And a particular thank you to a hot girl who apparently is now on the chat. So if you fancy a hot girl, she's there and she's ready and she's waiting. What the hell? Anyway, Kaiser has said good morning to everybody. Hi, Kaiser. How are you? Good morning to Richard, who was also just watching. Thank you for coming on. Kaiser has said many things. I hope the boys are ready to go for next week. I'm sure they am. In regards to the stadium, he hoped this doesn't mean it's back to Kingsford. Malcolm Park has said, good morning, Malcolm. Surely some of these huge oil companies who've made billions out of the area should be involved to help, as well as the council and the club. Also heard yesterday, councillors saying we need to see real plans and figures before a real decision can be made, not just artists' impressions. Interesting. The Mad Ferret has said, good morning to you. I can't see the club having the money to build at the beach. I feel that this is definitely a missed opportunity by the council, not only to breathe life into the beachfront, but the city as a whole. I saw a quick quote yesterday where one of the council leaders said, in this current economic crisis with the recession, there's just no way that they can fund, or words to that effect, Aberdeen's project, hence why they've basically said to the football club, look, you're going to have to fund this yourself. There is another meeting planned on December the 14th where everybody's going to go through what was the report that came out, which was worked between the football club and Aberdeen City Council. So let's wait and see what happens there. Stuart Cleary has said, good morning, Stuart. The chairman needs plan B. Kingsford is a no. We need to be at the beach. Joint venture between club and council and needs to happen now. Pittodrie run down along with the rest of the city. Sadly, it is. Any other comments there? Not at the moment. Okay, we'll get to some of your comments about players and stuff like that. But first, let's introduce Niall McGinn. I was delighted to have caught up with him yesterday, where we had a little chat. And the idea behind this concept, which I'll be bringing to you in future episodes of The Main Stand and going forward as well, because next week we're back properly with a preview show ahead of the Celtic game, which will be coming quite early in the morning, because don't forget it's an early kickoff. So we'll be getting back to sort of normality next week. So Niall and I jumped on. I had about 10 or 11 quick fire questions for him, and these are his answers. Good afternoon. How the devil are you? Great to see you. Right, fella, quick fire questions, straight in, straight out. You can answer them as you wish. So we'll kick off. Most memorable moment in an Aberdeen shirt?
I was just so lucky. The main one, obviously, is winning the League Cup. Wasn't the greatest spectacle, but what a day for everyone, the whole city, and you just seen where the thousands that showed up at Celtic Park, and then obviously when we had the parade. But now, great, like a few other sort of good moments in the Aberdeen shirt. Making my debut and scoring my first goal, and yeah, just had a lot of good ones and played in obviously a lot of European games as well. So now I'm thankful that I had a really enjoyable sort of 8-9 years there. So there's a lot sort of very good ones, but the main one's definitely the League Cup.
Okay, most disappointing moment in an Aberdeen shirt?
Definitely losing the cup final when we went 1-0 up and Johnny scored, losing that game. I moved on after that, but yeah, that was massive. I think we're just such a good team, and you just saw it. I think if I had held out a bit longer after scoring the first goal, I think we would have had a great chance. We had good chances in that game, but we definitely came up against very good Brendan Rodgers sides, that's for sure. But I was probably the biggest one, losing that cup final.
Okay, favorite goal that you scored?
That's an easy one. Nah, the one at Tynecastle, I love it. It comes up in memories all the time. I've been very lucky to score so many free kicks, individual solo goals, team goals. I've scored. It's funny. I remember, like, every year I was always up for a goal of the season. I'd always usually maybe 2 or 3 every season, and I never once won goal of the season. I think yes, I scored against Celtic and I scored against Rangers, and more often than not, it was always a goal against one of them teams that always get goal of the season, and for your obvious reasons. But nah, the goal against Hearts away was definitely my best goal.
Okay, most annoying person in the dressing room?
Shea Logan was so annoying. No, we had a great squad of boys. There's a lot of not so annoying characters, but we just had a really good group of boys. You had always boys up for the right laughs and jokes. But Shea was quite annoying at times, but always in a good way. He was obviously a funny boy as well, and he's the type of boy in a 1-to-1 he was easy to get on with. But I think he was the type of boy when there was a crowd, he was always wanting to show off. That's for sure.
Okay, which leads me nicely to the next question. So the funniest person in the dressing room?
Big Joe Lewis is funny. Johnny's obviously funny when you can understand him. I'm lucky enough because I'm Irish. I can understand him, but when Johnny starts talking, by the end of the conversation, he's just mumbling. That's probably a wee bit like me, but I've learned over the years to probably speak a wee bit more slowly. But now Joe Lewis is up there. It's quite funny. Reynolds was a funny boy as well. But now lucky enough to show the change room a few funny lads, that's for sure. Michael Devlin was quite funny. Dylan McGeoch, sort of, boys like that were quite funny. It's one of those ones you never sort of know, maybe from the outside in, what sort of funny characters there is until you're actually in the dressing room and you see them on a daily basis. Because I'm sure fans over the years, they get different impressions from different people and think, he's maybe sad or he's maybe not funny, but you just get different impressions of different players when you're in that vicinity of being in the changing room.
Mm. Any superstitions?
No, none.
Okay.
None.
Best trainer while you were at Aberdeen?
A few actually. Andrew Considine was always the boy that would always train always every day. He wasn't really injured much. I was very lucky to train with Russell Anderson when he was fit. Yeah, a lot actually. Even Johnny's he's injured quite a bit, but Johnny was always a good trainer. He's always 100 mile an hour, always a very fit boy, always Ross McCrory. But even more recent times, you've obviously Scott Brown, and then young Connor Bourne was always very enthusiastic and always wanted to train hard. And you always get that initial like young lad coming in the first team training who wanted to sort of do well, and he was never afraid to kick a first team member as you would say. So now we like the Connor Bourne as well. So there's a lot of just names, so it's always hard to pick that one.
Okay. Most difficult opponent that you faced?
For Aberdeen or in general?
When you played for Aberdeen?
I was quite lucky because we had such a good team and we always felt we're on top of everyone. The likes of me on the left, Johnny on the right, and Johnny on the left, me on the right. And obviously, it was just always about creating chances for Rooney to score goals. And yes, we came up against probably Kieran Tierney's your main standout one at Celtic, which was always a difficult opponent. But always found, like me as a player, and I'm sure like Johnny, you always found at times, although they've obviously a lot of the ball and the attack a lot, but we always felt we could get at most defenders, and he was probably, you could get at him as well, but he was definitely probably the most difficult opponent in the Scottish Premiership.
Okay, Copa Mundials or Puma Kings?
Just now, be Copas definitely, but because I played Gaelic football when I was younger, I love Puma Kings. I always wore Puma Kings. Wore Puma Kings starting out in my football soccer career. But recently I've been obviously wearing Copas, and yeah, I would have worn the older Copas back in the day, but you don't want to get them wet because they expand sizes every day. That's for sure. But yeah, we'll go Copas.
Okay. Adidas Tango or Adidas Azteca footballs?
What's the newest one? The first one, Azteca one's like 86, isn't it?
That's
the
right.
World Cup.
That's right.
So I wasn't even born then, so I can't really go for that. I was born in 87, so I was a year before my time.
You were born in 87?
87, yeah.
Oh, God. You've just aged me by 10 years.
No, I age a lot of people, so I'm happy to hear that I'm aging you.
All right, last question, and it's an important one. Bad Boys Inc. or Boyzone? It's obviously a tough one.
It's not a tough one. Straight out Boyzone.
Oh dear. We're going to stop the recording right there. See you, fella. Had to cut him off in his prime. If you're enjoying what you're watching so far and you've not subscribed to the channel, please feel free to jump on. Come and join us here on Ali Beg AB TV as we continue to build going forward. 5 subscribers away from 1,800. Only 5. Come on, there must be one of you out there who just wants to jump on and join the fun. On this day, you know I love my history. This is what happened on the 10th of December in the football club's history. Back in 1902, a meeting was held at the County Hotel on King Street, where Aberdeen, Victoria United and Orion agreed in principle to merge to form a brand new football club, which as we now know is Aberdeen Football Club. Now during the week I was sent this by a chap called Ronnie Davis, who is a member of Buses and Coaches Past and Present on Facebook. This is a Leyland Tiger bus, and it was built for Aberdeen Football Club back in the late 80s. Isn't that an absolute cracker? And we've tried to see if we can source some pictures of what the bus looks like inside, which sadly we've not been able to do. But what I've been told is that inside the bus, it was obviously state-of-the-art at the time. There was a kitchen at the back, 4 seats, tables in the middle, all that sort of stuff. And it was deemed as being sort of high-class luxury at the time. So Ronnie, thank you so much for sending that through to me this week. Let's get through some more of your comments. Kaiser said, definitely not Boyzone. You're my type of guy, Kaiser. You certainly are. In terms of transfers and stuff like that, a few of you have come on and said that we definitely need at least 2 centre-backs. Richardson definitely needs competition from Kaiser. Getting players in from lower leagues in England is not the answer. Which I also agree with. Charles Craig. Hi, Charles. How are you? The Scottish Championship is very competitive, and I wonder if our club scouts are looking at young players with potential from this league rather than the English League One. Stuart Cleary has said, everyone knows we need 2 or 3 more players in January, especially defender and another midfielder. And a few of you come on and commented about how good it is to see Niall on the show. So as I said, that will be we're going to make that a sort of a thing here on the shows going forward, where I try and get the ex-players on and we do quick fire questions and all that sort of stuff. So talking about history, last Monday was the 18th anniversary of the sad passing of Hicham Zerouali, Zero, as he is fondly known to us fans. He played 48 games for the club. He scored 13 goals, all of them which were just simply sensational. And he was here between 1999 and 2002. So what I thought I would do was to remember Zero, jump on with a couple of his former teammates and just have a chat about Zero, the person. So this chat begins with Ben Thornley, who tells me that Zero was the most technically gifted player that he ever played with.
In terms of technically gifted, and again, a really, really great lad that I hit it off with really well was Hicham.
Yeah.
And sadly, obviously a couple of years after I'd left, I learnt about his tragic passing. And I couldn't get to the funeral, but I was devastated. But I played in a game at Dundee, one of the very few away games that I actually started. And he scored a hat-trick. We beat him 4-1 at Dens Park. And he was unplayable that day. And when he wanted to, he could turn it on like nobody else. So in terms of God-given talent, Zero was absolutely brilliant. And I had a real sort of great relationship with him as well, because I, like you with your German mate, I spoke a little bit of French. So him and Rashid Belabed and Roberto Visconti when he came in, Eugene Daddy as well. We had a real sort of bond, if you like. I had a real bond with the French-speaking players. But Hicham, definitely, I loved him. It was a real tragedy when he passed away. I was devastated for him.
Hi, Eugene. It's fantastic to see you as always. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today. I would like to begin by asking you about Hitcham's character. We all know what he was like as a player, but what was he actually like as a person?
Yeah, well, he was a very good person, very shy, outside of the field, obviously, but yeah, very good person, very calm, very I would say that he's taking care about me. He did take care of me when I came to the ground, when I came to Petertree and at the club. So yeah, we did have a good relationship since the first day.
How did he help you settle in? Obviously, language, culture is very similar. So how did he help you settle in?
Very well. As you said, language and everything were difficult. At the time, my English were not that good. I won't say that it's still good, but it's better. But but it was easier. It was easier to speak French together. Okay, so when I came in, he just took me on his wings and put me on the side of him, beside him on the changing room. So yeah, I was like, come here, son, and then sit here, and then I'm gonna help you. I'm gonna help you out, and this is what he did.
When you first started training together, could you see the quality that he had straight away?
Man, Hicham. Yes, of course, I did see this. He was unbelievable, full of tricks, full of, I won't tell you about him as you saw him. yeah, it was unbelievable. Yeah, it was a good one.
Can you recall the sad time where you were when you received the news of his passing?
Actually, yes, I was in Liverpool. I was in Liverpool there. I was living there as I was playing in Tranmere at the time. I can't remember exactly how it came, but I remember where I was. So I was in my living room, and I remember I think I saw it on TV or something. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. Very sad. I couldn't believe it. So young, and I was speechless, to be honest. I couldn't say anything. Yeah, sad.
There's for anybody that goes on the internet and does a search on yourself or Hicham, there's a fantastic photograph of you two while you were doing a training session, which I think has captured the both of you perfectly. Not just the moment, but also what was your friendship, because you're obviously sharing a special moment. He's the type of guy that, from what I can understand, he will always very, very close to your heart. Is that right?
Yes, yes. I can't remember. Probably I saw that picture, but yeah, that picture could tell everything. You know, it was fun on the training page, and as you said, both characters were I won't say similar, but we clicked together. We clicked very well together. So everything were just fun, and it was great. It was great to have him around. Not only by myself, but probably the other players will tell you as well. It was very good at it.
Brilliant. Eugene, thank you so much for coming on. It's lovely to see you, and I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Bye-bye.
Okay, speak to you soon. Cheers. Bye-bye.
My thanks to both Ben and to Eugene Daddy. Okay, a few of you have commented about Zero. The Mad Ferret has said, rest in peace. Kaiser has said 000, the Moroccan magic. He also went on to say Eugene Daddy wasn't half bad himself. Malcolm Park has said, just a pity we didn't have a team to match his huge potential. Jim Balfa has come on. Hi, Jim. Good morning to you. We were late getting out the pub for the Killie 5-1 game and missed Zero's worldie. Ryan Essence, first team debut, if memory serves. Zero was very approachable, greatly missed. He certainly is. I've also done an interview with Phil Maguire, but unfortunately I had some technical difficulties with that interview. But what I'll do is I'll get that all sorted, and then I'll put everything together and make it as a sort of a standalone tribute show, which I'll put out on the channel very soon. Right, to finish off, let's have a bit of a laugh. Now, did you see this tweet from James Maddison in the week? Where he said, whoever said you should never meet your heroes obviously had the wrong heroes. Chatting with my childhood idol was unreal. David Beckham. Now, did you see what happened afterwards? This is why sometimes Twitter is just brilliant. So, South Stand Don Scott basically took that tweet and photoshopped Andrew Considine's head onto David Beckham's head, which I have to say made me laugh out loud. I thought that was absolute genius. Well done, South Stand, Don. I thought that was absolutely brilliant. Guys, we are done for the latest edition of The Main Stand. I really hope you've enjoyed today's show. Next week, we're back for our preview show ahead of the Celtic game. The league is back. I cannot wait. We've got a couple of more vaults during the week as well, so look out for that. And I will see you again very soon. Thank you for watching. Thank you for interacting. Have a brilliant weekend. Bye for now.